Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at UFC 317. I'm going to be giving you my predictions for every single fight on the card. We're going to soldier our way through a pretty stinky prelim to a pretty okay main event. Let's get right into it. I won't waste any of your time. First up, we've got Jackson McVeigh versus Christopher Elliott. We're going to be going with Jackson McVeigh. I like McVeigh. He's very well rounded. He's very good. Decent matchup for each guy's debut into the UFC. I just think McVeigh's probably going to have the advantage. I think he probably hits with later in round 2, maybe early in round 2. Follows him to the ground, finishes with some ground and pound. So we're going to be going with McVeigh by a ground and pound TKO. I'm happy with that one. Yeah, we're going to go with Jackson McVeigh by TKO. Next up, we've got Jonathan Deniz versus Alvin Hines. We're going to be going with Deniz. I quite like Deniz. I know he lost his most recent fight. I don't think that takes away too much from his stock. I think he's alright. He's pretty young for a heavyweight, so he's got some growing to do. I think a few losses here and there won't be too bad. Maybe he'll grow into a decent heavyweight. Yeah, we're going to be going with Deniz. I'm liking a Deniz TKO. He's comfortable in the UFC now. Yet he lost. He got blobbed by Marcin Tybura. Marcin Tybura's, known for blobbing dudes. He's the blob. He's one of the blobs, and sometimes you get blobbed when you're a heavyweight. But yeah, I'm going to go with Deniz not to get blobbed this time, and I think he's probably going to get the knockout. So yeah, we're going to go with Jonathan Deniz by knockout. Next up, we've got Niko Price versus Jacoby Smith. I think Smith's being fed a sacrificial lamb in Niko Price. Not to say Niko Price is terrible. I just think he's outclassed. He's got a lot of grit and he's really tough, but I think that gets him hurt. I think that gets him knocked out. So I think I'm going to predict another finish, which is crazy to say for a pretty stinky prelim. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jacoby Smith by knockout over Niko Price. I think Niko Price relies on his toughness a bit too much, and I think that's going to get him hurt in this fight, and I think he's going to get finished by Jacoby Smith. So yeah, we're going to go Jacoby Smith with a little bit of a layup. It's a decent matchup style-wise. Niko Price is going to walk into Jacoby Smith's shots, and he's probably going to get knocked out. So yeah, we're going to go with Smith by TKO. Next up, we've got Terence McKinney versus Vladislav Borshev, or Slava Claus. He's a little bit easier. We'll call him Slava Claus for my terrible pronunciations of names. I've got McKinney by submission. Both guys are tough on the feet. I would argue that Slava Claus is probably a little bit tougher on the feet, can probably take a little bit more punishment than McKinney, but I don't think it's going to get there. In my opinion, McKinney's got the better grappling, and I think he's going to kind of go there sooner. And Slava Claus is likely to get subbed. He gets subbed quite a bit. He's been subbed a few times. I think two of his most recent losses were submission losses. Maybe one was a decision. Maybe it's out of his last 3 losses, 2 of them were submissions. I'm not too sure. He's known to getting submitted. Terence McKinney can get submissions, snatch up a nice little choke. So yeah, we're going to go with Terence McKinney. I think he gets the submission over Slava Claus. So yeah, we're going to go Terence McKinney by submission. On to the next one. Woo, a woman's fight. Woo! That won't ruin the pace of the cards that I'm expecting to have quite a few finishes on. I reckon Cortez wins it. I think Araujo just kind of gets tired and loses based on that, just lack of output, to be honest with you. It's a women's fight, so I don't think we're going to get a finish. I do think it's going to be a Cortez decision. I think Araujo genuinely does just kind of get tired faster and just doesn't throw as much and then gets picked apart on the feet. Maybe there's a few little hugging matches along the fence with not a lot of action, but we're just going to kind of stall out there and stamp on each other's toes and knee each other's thighs a little bit and try and catch our breath. It's going to be quite a boring fight. It is going to ruin the pace of what could be a pretty okay prelim if we do get the finishes. Yeah, we're going to go with a Cortez decision. On to the next one. There's not much really to say about that. It's going to be pretty boring. Maybe it's time for now to take a pee break or something, Next up, we've got Haider Emil versus Jose Delgado. I like Emil. I like Emil by a TKO, to be honest. Look at his record. all of his fights against like a guy that's slightly taller than him, he ends with a TKO. He ends with a finish. It's a little bit of a weird thing, you know. If you look through, I mean, let's take a look. Let's take a look. So if you take a look at his previous fights, you've got William Gomez, who is 6 foot compared to his 5'9". That was a little bit too tall. He struggled there. But his previous fight against Jong Yong Lee, he won that. He knocked him out. He finished him with the TKO, with the punches. That guy, 5'11", yeah, to his 5'9", right? Garcia is also 5'11". You see what I'm trying to say here? Chase Gibson, 5'10". You know what I'm saying? If you're slightly taller than Haider Emil, he's likely to knock you out. You've got to be a fair bit taller than him, or you know, you're going to get chinned. You've got to either be the same height as him or a fair bit taller than him if you want to kind of survive against Haider Emil, is the trend we're seeing here. So based on that alone, we're going with Haider Emil by knockout, because I've spotted the trend and it's too fluky not to go with it. So we're going with Haider Emil based on the fact that he's slightly shorter than his opponent, but that's where he finds his success historically. So that's why we're going with Haider Emil by TKO. Next up, Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodriguez. I'm going to be going with Gregory Rodriguez. He's a little bit younger than Jack Hermansson. You wouldn't think it to look at the two of them, but Gregory Rodriguez is indeed younger than Jack Hermansson. Look, it's tough, but it's good matchmaking. The fact that it's tough, it's actually an alright fight. I think Gregory Rodriguez, Robocop, he's going to be a lot more durable, and I think as the two get tired, that's going to be a major factor. So yeah, I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez, as long as he doesn't gas, because both guys gas, but Gregory Rodriguez really gasses. So I think if he manages that gas tank, he has a good potential for a TKO finish. But I do get the feeling it's going to go to a decision, and I think maybe he secures 2 rounds for himself and then just takes the third off. It's kind of a feeling I'm getting, because it's Jack Hermansson. He's not easy to finish. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez to win the first 2 rounds and then lose the third, but win the decision overall. Yeah, I'm going to go Gregory Rodriguez by decision. You know, a terrible third round, I think. Could even get finished in it. It's going to be nerve-wracking. Finally, the main card. Here we go. First up on the main card, Peyton Tablet versus Felipe Lima. We're going to go with Peyton Tablet. Yeah, he got beat in his last fight. But, you know, he's 26. Barcelos is a pretty tough contender. He's a pretty tough guy who's been around for a little while. Not too long, but just a little while. You know, a guy with experience, to be fair. And I don't think it's any kind of like, Barcelos is pretty good. Like, pretty good. He's fought some good opponents. He's got some wins over some decent opponents. I don't think it's any shame to Tablet that he lost that fight. It was kind of a layup for him, though. He should have really won it stylistically, but he got beaten, and that's fair. He got beat by someone with a bit more experience and who knew how to play the game better and knew what to do. So yeah, I think it's a learning experience for Tablet. So yeah, we're going to go with Peyton Tablet to win this one. I think the learning experience of losing a fight. You learn a lot from losing a fight, is what I'm trying to say. And I think you know, when you suffer your first loss, and it's kind of a fight that you kind of just let slip through the gaps of your fingers. You know, you just let it slip away. It's kind of a bit more bitter, and I think Peyton Tablet kind of feels that way. You know, it was a poor performance, so I feel like he's going to kind of try and make up for that with this one. So we're going to go with Peyton Tablet. I don't see a finish. I think it's going to go to a decision, so we're going to go with Tablet by decision. Next up, Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. I'm going with Moicano. You know I'm going with Moicano because I back my boy. You know, I'm a Moicano fan. He fought Makhachev. He didn't win. He didn't even survive the first round. To be fair, he got finished in 1 round. But it's like his anime hero arc, right? It's like his anime hero arc. He's been defeated by the villain, but he's not been killed by him, you know? And now he knows how strong he has to become in order to defeat the villain, you know? You know what I'm trying to say? It's like he's been defeated, and now he's like, but now I know what I have to do. I have to get stronger. I know how strong I have to. He can see the mountaintop now. He knows where he has to get to, and I think that's going to be inspiring to a guy like Moicano. A guy with drive like Moicano needs goals, and now that he's seen where he has to get to, I think he's going to be driven a lot more. For a guy who's already quite driven, I think he's going to be a lot more driven to get there. So I think we're going to see some good things from Moicano going forward. So yeah, I'm going to go with Moicano. I'm thinking a TKO. I'm thinking he kind of keeps it standing for a little while. He punishes Dariush. He kind of makes the Beneil work. And then when Beneil kind of starts committing to the takedowns, I think it's going to be Beneil who engages in the takedowns. I think Moicano is going to use his jits and use his grappling to maintain a dominant position and just land strikes and just kind of try and break down. Because he did the same thing with Benoit Saint-Denis, a guy who can also grapple. He just kind of let Benoit do what he wanted to do and said, I'm going to beat you up while I do it. He tried to do that with Makhachev, and Makhachev just had complete control. So I think where Moicano thrives in the ground is where he kind of uses his opponent transitioning to just land some brutal damage. So yeah, we're going to go with Moicano. I think it's going to be kind of a good ground affair, kind of an entertaining ground affair with some good ground strikes mixed in there, some good control and good ground and pound mixed in there. So we're going to go with Moicano by a TKO. It could even be a similar situation where it's a doctor's stoppage in the corner because of the cuts. Like Moicano's got some vicious elbows. Anyway, besides the Benoit Saint-Denis fight, like Moicano's elbows on the ground are pretty nasty, and he does good work down there. And if Beneil Dariush does let him into his guard and just does try and hold guard, that's going to be bad for Dariush. So we're going to go with Moicano by TKO. On to the next one. We've got Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Going to go with Joshua Van. However, it's going to go to a decision. I think Joshua Van's just going to kind of play it safe and hop around, pick and poke to a decision. It's going to be kind of a slower fight, but it's going to be good. It's going to be technical. It's going to be a technical fight where Brandon Royval's going to try and close the distance, try and get in there and put a stop to Joshua Van, and Joshua Van's going to try and move laterally left to right and kind of stay on the outside and just do his work at range. Pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. It's going to be an interesting fight. It is going to go to a decision, I do believe. And it's going to be a Joshua Van decision. I think it's going to be close, though. It could even be a split decision. I'm thinking Joshua Van, though, by decision. Yeah, I'm going to go Joshua Van by decision. On to the next one. We've got Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France challenging for the belt of Alexandre Pantoja. To be honest, I don't think Kai Kara France is the one to do it. I don't think he's got the style to beat Pantoja, and I thought Erceg had the style to beat Pantoja, but obviously Erceg hasn't been doing very well recently. So it's kind of irritating. But I don't think Kai Kara France has the style, has the skill set necessary to go the distance with Pantoja even. So I think Pantoja might even get the submission on Kai Kara France. To be honest, I think an Alexandre Pantoja decision submission is a potential outcome. But I do think it goes to a decision. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. I'm going to go with Pantoja by submission. I think Pantoja by decision is a safe bet. Either way, I do think Pantoja wins it, either by a decision or submission. I think Kai Kara France just kind of gets overwhelmed and gets wore down on the ground. He's just not going to be ready for the pressure, for the endurance scrambling pressure of Pantoja. On to the next one. Oh, it's the final one. It's the big one. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Now, I've been struggling to make a decision on this one. I've been racking my brain. See, I'm a Charlie Olives fan. We like Charlie Olives on the channel. But Ilia Topuria is a very dangerous dude. There was a time where we were just calling him hand sanitizer boy, but he's proven himself to be a worthy adversary, a worthy champion. He's relinquished his belt. Still undefeated. He relinquished his belt. He's moved up a weight class, and now he's coming up against Charlie Oliveira. Charlie Olives, do Bronx. It's a pretty good bit of matchmaking. I'm excited to see it. I do think Topuria wins, and I do think he wins fairly quickly. I know when Charles gets hurt and he falls down, that's when he's like most dangerous if you follow him down there. And Charles has a propensity to bounce back when he gets hurt. I just don't think Topuria gives you the opportunity to, like... Topuria doesn't hurt you, he finishes you, is what I'm trying to say. Like, Topuria, if he lands that shot, it will finish you. He's powerful, and he does a lot of damage. And I could see him just needing the one shot, like not having to follow Charlie down, not having to follow the Olives down. So it's a tough one to call. I just don't see Ilia falling for the traps that Charles sets. And I could see him even being one step ahead and letting Oliveira think he's fallen into a trap, but really it's a double up. He's trapped his trap, he's flipped it on him. So we're gonna have to go with Topuria, and I'm going with Topuria by knockout. I think he's gonna blast Charles' chin off his head, to be honest with you, and it's gonna be unfortunate because I'm a Charlie Olives fan, but I think Oliveira's going to get knocked out. I think Topuria is going to chin Oliveira, and I think it's going to be quick. I think it's going to be inside of 3 rounds. I'm thinking it's going to be maybe in the second round, maybe mid-second round. Maybe he gets hurt in round 1. And it's like he starts coming back, and you're like, yeah, man, this is what Charlie Olives does. He gets hurt and comes back, and you're like, hey, you know what? He rallied in that first round after getting hurt. And really, Topuria was just buying his time, and he comes out in the second and ends it right there and then. I could see that happening. So yeah, we're going to go with Topuria by TKO. And that does conclude this prediction video. It's going to be a decent card. I hope you all enjoy it. But as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like. Subscribe for more. I've got banging content coming. If you haven't seen my John Jones videos that I just posted over the past couple of days, you should go check them out. They're pretty funny. There's a lot of drama going on there. Until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.